So you know what I love doing, right?
What?
You know what I like to watch on YouTube?
Maybe.
I think I've seen every single cop cam video that's out there.
I'm sure you
Multiple
have.
versions of them as well. I've seen versions with the Rageigle and his cow. I've seen versions with Frank commentating. I've seen versions where that black dude that, I don't know, he's always mirrored. So it's like LA had his backwards all the time. He's
kind of terrible, though.
Kendall, that's what his name is. I've seen him do it, and I've seen them by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it always makes me laugh at the number of misconceptions that these dumb, stupid people have.
The number of morons, sheer number of morons. Yeah, gotcha.
It's kind of amazing, though, because, like, number one, it's a consistent theme. Number two, these are things that almost anybody should know. And number three, it's now widely known because of these cop cam videos. Like the first one is they're always screaming and yelling. They think they got the cops by the balls when they say, you know, oh, you didn't read me my rights before you put me in handcuffs. You didn't read me my rights before you put me in handcuffs.
You're the worst.
But that's just the point. First of all, they can put you in handcuffs even if they're not arresting you.
It's called being detained.
Yeah, so they're going to put you in handcuffs. They don't need to read you. Guess what? They don't have questions for you and they're arresting you. They don't have to give you your Miranda rights. Your Miranda rights are meant because someone named Miranda got arrested and got kind of railroaded and didn't get told that he could be quiet, that he had a Fifth Amendment right to silence.
All right.
He didn't get told that. So they made it requirement that when you get arrested, in order to use anything that you say against you, you have to be told that that can happen. And you have to be told that you have a right to remain silent. And you have to be told that you have a right to an attorney. You have to be told those things. And it's fair, right? I mean, if the system allows for that, the system needs to tell everyone that gets in trouble, these are your options.
Right.
But they think that they can't even be put in handcuffs until they read the Miranda rights.
I can't tell you how many we've seen screaming about how you can't arrest him. You can't arrest me. You didn't read me my rights. You can't arrest me.
Yeah, like, I mean, they don't bother to think through the fact that, like, if you're chasing a criminal down and you watched him shoot somebody and you're chasing him down and you jump on him. Remember, dangerous person. He shot somebody. What? I'm supposed to stop and read you your rights while you can try to get away?
Yes.
Before putting the handcuffs on you? Hell no.
Do I know which people I think are even stupider than the people who think you need to read them their rights? People who think that the police aren't allowed to touch them. Like that one you were watching the other day with the lady at the bank.
Don't touch me.
She was like shrieking at the cop after her $50,000 in bank fraud.
Don't touch me.
Yeah.
That's all they say. Don't touch. Get your hands off me. Don't touch me.
Yeah.
Why are you touching me?
And then they kick, punch, bite, scream.
And then say they didn't resist.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. They all say that. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Why are you touching me?
Why are you touching me?
Why are you touching me?
I mean, that's like also stupid. Police officer's not allowed to touch you. So how exactly, that same scenario, how exactly when he jumps over there to try to grab you, how is he supposed to stop you from getting away if he can't touch you?
No.
It just makes no sense. But you know what else doesn't make sense? The people who think that all that you have to do is say, I want your supervisor.
I love the people who, it's especially prevalent with the sovereign citizen people. The cop comes up to them. Well, it's part of their
play.
Right. The cop comes up to them and they're like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to your supervisor. Then they roll up the window.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, they have to, I mean, if they wanted to think about that, places like out here where we are, where they're patrolling, like, how many cops do you think patrol between, say, the Speedway and Valley of Fire? Maybe 1, 2 at the most?
Probably, yeah. I've never seen a cop out there.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's not like there's tons of them out there. So probably only 1.
It's probably the same NHP officers that you see in Las Vegas. My guess is they go all the way from California border to...
Well, but even those people have areas that they cover, that they're responsible for. The reason being is that they never want to be, if we do it that way, where they cover from state to state or whatever, Then what happens if they're all caught up in something that's closer to California and there's nobody back here patrolling back here and there's help needed back here? So that's why they keep them in areas, and they're only allowed to patrol from, say, like the Speedway to like the Arizona border. But I'm just saying, I've only seen a cop out there maybe once. How are you supposed to get a supervisor out there?
Right. Supposed to drive all the way from Las Vegas, where
Yeah.
Health and other headquarters is.
And meanwhile, you're sitting there the whole entire time.
To get all the way to Arizona is what, like an hour and 20 minutes from Las Vegas?
Yeah.
So, well, if you're going north, it's an hour and 20 minutes from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's less if you go like through Boulder City, but anyway, that's gonna take a cop up to an hour and 20 minutes to get to you.
Yeah, it's just, and meanwhile, the cop's got to sit there and wait. You've got to sit there and wait. The supervisor, what happens if someone else needs the supervisor?
Right.
He's called the supervisor for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's really stupid.
Super stupid. The other one that I think is dumb is also applies to the sovereign citizens. They don't need a driver's license because they're traveling.
Yeah, they're not in commerce.
Right.
They're not making money with their vehicle. So therefore, it's their private vessel. But do they ever bother to think about, like, if the laws don't apply to them, what stops them from getting stoned as fuck and then driving?
More than half of the ones we've seen, the sovereign citizen is stoned as fuck or drunk.
And they think that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like,
the laws of the road don't apply to them.
They're not bothering to consider what they're saying. And like, they always try to claim that they're not a U.S. citizen. And they're also the ones that, like,
we should deport them. They don't have a valid visa.
Yeah. They're a lot like what we're going to talk about in the future here, which is the people who think they don't need to get out of their vehicles.
Well, of course.
And then, like, they get dragged out of their vehicle and they wonder why.
And then they go back to why are you touching me?
Right.
Why are you touching me?
But these people are the same way. They're like, I don't need a driver's license. Your laws don't apply to me. There's nothing you can do to me.
Right.
I mean, think about what they're saying. They could purposely drive up on the sidewalk in their car, run a couple people over, and drive back down onto the street and be like, your laws don't apply to me.
I hate to tell you, dear sovereign citizens, but I am a Canadian citizen, not an American citizen. And every American law has applied to me since the absolute second I stepped foot in this country.
Exactly. That's why one of the things that's always been a saying is ignorance of the law is no excuse. You can't plead that, I didn't know that was illegal. You know, it's not like you get one freebie for every law. So they don't allow you to say, I didn't know. Well, too bad you didn't know.
They might go more leniently on you if it's the first time and you say you didn't know. They're not going to let you go.
All right, question for you. Just to, I don't know if you agree or disagree. I think you actually agree with what I said, but we'll see. What if someone's caught cheating, like physically having sex with somebody, and says they didn't believe that was cheating? I didn't know that was cheating.
Entirely depends on the person who caught them.
But
cheating.
I don't think they could say that though. I didn't believe it was cheating. But okay, at least if you disagreed, at least you're being consistent. That's good. So I think.
By the way, if I caught you having sex with somebody else, it's cheating. We're just going to clear up any.
I don't have to ask that question.
I didn't ask you a question. It's a statement.
Well, but it's
because I said it depends on the other person. I'm just clearing it up.
But it's a question anyway. It's just a saying. The one that also gets me is they get pulled over. Why are you stopping me? You didn't stop at the stop sign back there. No. I stopped. Well, can I have your license and registration, please? No, I didn't do anything. I don't have to give that to you. I didn't do anything. Then he says, but you ran the stop sign. Do you have proof of that? Yeah, it's all on camera. Show it to me. It's not your right to have them show it to you there. That's not court. Court is where you go for those things, not out on the street. If you had to do it out on the street, can you imagine how long every traffic stop would take? Well, even then, they'd argue, no, see, I stopped. How you can't win that.
Yep.
So that's why you don't litigate that out on the street. It's just stupid to do so.
I also like the people who think you can't search their car without their consent.
Even after they've been arrested and they're in the back seat of the cop car.
Right. And they're very arrested.
Yeah.
And the police officer could visibly see 45 pounds of marijuana sitting in their passenger seat.
Right.
Like
there's no doubt.
You're going to jail, buddy.
And yes, they're going to search your car. You could call it search. They call it inventory.
Right.
Same difference. They're making sure that they damn well document everything that was in the car.
Because some dumbass will say, I had 48 pounds of marijuana, officer. Why did you only return 45?
That's funny that you say that.
I know it's funny. Yes, I do. I sure do know it's funny. That's why I said it.
That's funny that you say that. She's aware of a personal situation that I was involved in where someone did watch that.
Except the marijuana wasn't returned.
Yeah, it wasn't returned. But what was funny was it was like, can't we make a big deal out of it? And the guy was like, the attorney was like, well, yeah, you could, but why would you want to? You're basically saying, now you're saying, yeah, I did it. Oh, and by the way, it was worse than you think. Why would you do that? So, he's like, that's like taking an attempted murder charge and going, no, I killed the person. Make it murder. What are you doing?
And I planned it in advance. Like, come on, I can't believe I planned this.
It's like so stupid. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And like, how do you not understand that? Honestly, don't know a way around this that would be equitable for both sides, because I see the need for the police to have this tool that I'm about to mention, but I also see why people say it's kind of discriminatory, especially in today's day and age. So think about it. It's legal to smoke marijuana in a lot of states here. So say you're at your friend's house and they're going to town smoking weed and you're sitting there in the room, or you're standing in the room, you're getting ready to leave. You don't partake. You don't think it's going to get into your clothes? Of course it's going to get into your clothes. And it's going to smell like freshly burnt marijuana. Then you're going to get in your car. Now the cop's going to say, pull you over. Your taillight is out. Ma'am, have you been smoking marijuana in the car? No, I have not. You're honest.
I have never once heard somebody say, no, I was with some friends who were smoking about a half hour ago, but I haven't smoked anything. I have never once heard that reasoning, because we've never seen a body cam video where that actually happened, ever.
Well, of course not. But you have to craft laws around every possible circumstance.
Apparently in Florida, it's illegal for you to smoke marijuana in your car. So if your car smelled like freshly...
I think it's pretty much against the law for you to smoke marijuana in your car everywhere for that reason. Just like you're not really supposed to drink alcohol in your car.
I think you could probably sit in the box of your truck and drink alcohol. Because you're
I think that's
not going to
different.
operate the vehicle.
Yeah, I think that's different. Yeah, because you're not going to operate the vehicle.
You certainly can't be in the inside part of your vehicle, and certainly not in the driver's seat while operating the vehicle.
So why wouldn't the law around marijuana be the same? I mean, obviously it should be consistent.
They need to come up with something that they can test on the street for marijuana.
Well, I agree. That's what I was going to say, because it's not fair to the police officer to say you're not allowed to search their car just because you smell marijuana. You have to have other evidence.
Right.
And it's also not fair to the person who maybe they did smoke marijuana today, 8 hours ago, and they still stink like it because whatever clothing they wore, it's in there. Who knows the reason? Anything's possible. And you smell, and then that's my reason to search your car. But here's my answer to that. See, I would say this. See, I'm surprised you didn't say this. Why you got stuff in your car you got to worry about? I mean, if we got pulled over at any point in time,
you search.
Would we ever have a problem with them searching the car?
Oh, there's that dog leash I couldn't find. Thanks for doing that for me.
Exactly. We wouldn't have one single problem with it.
Search away, man. Just don't you steal any of my Dutch Bro stickers.
So here we go. They all say, they use that excuse as a reason to search your car. Okay, great. So what? Why do you have stuff in your car you shouldn't have in your car?
Yep.
Sounds like they were right to want to search your car.
Right. The people who have a cow about their car being searched always have drugs, or they always have guns, or they always have something they're not supposed to.
Right, but then the next one, women must never be patted down by a male police officer. That's kind of like asking for the supervisor. I'm all the way out at Valley of Fire. I pulled you over. I need to make sure that there's no, I don't want to put you in handcuffs. This is the thing that makes them mad. They don't want to be in the handcuffs, but they don't want you to touch them. Well, it's got to be one or the other for my safety. It's me and you out there. So I'm supposed to bend over and look in your car and whatnot with you behind me?
Yeah.
I have to really know that you don't have weapons on you before I'm willing to do that. I'm not so afraid of you, like, attacking me with your fists.
Well, and also, then if you're arresting them, you have to pat them down before they get in your car, because what if they've got a big giant knife and you're riding one of those police cars that has the holes in the thing between the officer and the people?
And they slip out of the cuffs like you see them do
Like
all
women
the time.
do all the time. And Frank explained that to us. Women have small wrists, and handcuffs are not made for how small some women's wrists are.
So a lot of places I've noticed have rules where the male officer has to pat down the female suspect, palm facing the officer, heel, back of hand facing the suspect, and pat, 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 which makes sense because you can't exactly grope her with the back of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're worrying about. And they're not allowed to, like, you know how like women go in under the bra and they like tug, tug, tug. They're not allowed to do that. But it's also why the male officer can say to them, do you got anything that I didn't find? Is there anything on you that I didn't find? Because you're going to the jail. They're going to scan you. And if they find anything on you, those are more charges. That's why they tell you that.
That's a new word for strip search I haven't heard before. Squat and cuff, ladies. Squat and cuff.
They don't really do that anymore. It's why they have the scanner.
If they were actually going to jail, they would.
Prison.
Yeah.
Yes. So I thought that was interesting. And, so now we're to the one we were talking about a minute ago.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to get out of your vehicle when you're asked.
Yeah, it's like something will happen, like they'll smell marijuana, or I think the more common one is they think you're driving under the influence, like you're drunk or you're high or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be, this is the irony of it, asking you to step out of your vehicle first before saying anything about it is supposed to be a way of de-escalating a situation.
Right, because the officer's no longer hovering above you. They also are in more of a position where they can grab you and subdue you if they need to.
And you, as the person being detained, you feel a little safer too, because you're not like down inside of your vehicle stuck. If they came at you with a knife, you'd be dead. You don't have any way to defend yourself.
That one you were watching the other day, where it was the dude and his brother in the car, and they just like refused to get out of the car, and they had to call like the SWAT.
Yeah, the entire SWAT team came. Yeah,
and then he got pulled out of the car and slammed to the ground and wrestled in handcuffs and all that good stuff. And then his girlfriend is there, like, "Why'd you do that to him? Why'd you do that to him?" And the officer was like, "Well, he wouldn't get out of his car." And she calmed down, and then the mom was on the phone with the girlfriend, and she's freaking out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, nobody sees the point, which is you were disrespectful to law enforcement, and they asked you to get out. And my favorite, though, is then the cops will say, no, there's case law that says that when I tell you to do something, you have to do it. And they'll say, case law, and he goes, yes, Pennsylvania versus Mims. It's a Supreme Court of the United States of America decision. And they'll say, Pennsylvania? This is Ohio. What does Pennsylvania have to do with Ohio? Well, dum-dum, that's just the name of the case. It's a Supreme Court case. It covers all the states. It's just funny. And these people, the part I never understand, okay?
Why they're so stupid.
Well, why are they so stubborn? Let's go with that route. You come up to me as a cop and you say, may I please have your license? And let's say I honestly believe I didn't do anything wrong, and I honestly believe that I have a right not to give you my license because of that. So I don't believe that I must give it to you.
You mean get out of the car because that's the one.
Or get out of the car. Yes, sorry. Let's say I honestly believe those things, that I don't have to get out of my car, that it's my right to stay in my car if I feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to ask me again. At some point, though, they always say, this is your last chance. If you don't get out of the car now, I will arrest you.
When sometimes it's the third time they ask, and sometimes it's like the 45th time they've asked.
Right, but they'll eventually get there. But when they say it, I don't understand why the person on the other end doesn't go, well, what's a worse option? Staying in this car and then going to jail because I was wrong?
Right.
Or just getting out of the car, even if I'm right? Well, obviously, getting out of the car is the less of the two options. Because if you really believe you're going to go to jail if you get out of the car, well, you know for sure you're going to jail if you don't get out of the car. So why not roll the dice?
Right.
I mean, I'm even going that far with it. Like, there's no, in other words, you literally have no excuse.
You know what the answer is? These people all have warrants. Almost all of them have warrants.
Yeah, they grandstand because
or it's their 43rd DUI, or
somehow they think the cop's going to just go away, right? And that's just not.
It's going to evaporate into thin air.
Something. And then that's the last one is related to this, that they don't have to provide identification when they're asked. And that's definitely because of warrants.
Specifically says the passenger.
Oh, the passenger, yeah, sorry. Well, they do that. They'll say to the passenger, hey, bro, can I see your ID? I'm not driving. I don't have to show you my ID. Well, dude, you're in a vehicle that's been detained. The whole vehicle. You gotta give your ID.
Don't understand why they don't just say they don't have it.
Well, even then they're going to ask you who you are, and you can't lie. And if you lie, see ya. And I think you deserve to be see ya. But it's just the same thing goes. They're going to get to a point where they're going to say, look, this is the last time I'm asking.
Right.
I need your ID or you're going to jail. At that point, how come you don't go, well, what's worse? Giving them my ID and maybe going to jail, or not giving my ID and being for sure going to jail?
We've only seen a couple of those where the passenger refuses to give ID, though. There's only been a few.
It's usually the driver that gets that stubborn.
Because most of the time, the cops don't ask for the passenger's ID.
Yeah, it's usually the drivers that are stubborn. You know?
Right.
But I mean, for a cop, I mean, they're not going to lie to you. They'll tell you that a big reason that they ask for ID on these stops, especially of passengers, is to catch people with warrants.
Right.
That's what they're after. They're warrant hunting, you know? And
well, that's the time that I see them ask the passenger for ID is if the driver has warrants. They always assume that the passenger does too.
Like kind of a bonus one is where the cops will run your plate while they're driving behind you because they're allowed to, because the plate is in public view. Right. So they run your plate and they see that the registered owner is, you know, a man.
Right.
And there's a man driving. And so they make the stop. They pull you over because the registered owner's license is suspended.
Right.
They pull you over. The first question they'll ask you is, are you the registered owner? Yes. Boom. You're under arrest. It's done. You know, it's over. And there's no arguing that. But yet, they do. Still argue it, and they argue it, and it's always, but I paid for that already. But see, that's one of the things that's interesting about vehicle issues. Once your vehicle gets involved, where they impound it, and then it's like, oh, your registration is frozen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
You pay this debt that started it all, and it's at the top of the food chain, and you expect that one's going to notify the next one, who's going to notify the next one, who's going to notify the next one. I don't know. They make you be an adult and go tell everybody, here's my receipt that shows that I paid. Can you please clear me? Okay, thank you. Here's my receipt. But people don't do that. They pay up there and then they start driving again. Then they get pulled over. But I have the receipt. But I have the receipt. Sorry.
And you'll be able to prove that in court when you go to court for this.
Well, then chances are I would be willing to bet you that if you went to court before a judge and you said, I thought that the court would notify the Department of whatever that I had paid the debt so that they would release my car.
Right.
He would give you a break. He'd be like, okay, look, you have until this date to take care of this. If you do, we'll dismiss this whole thing. If you don't, then there's a problem. So I think it's just funny how people, and the worst part with all of these that we talked about, they're so adamant that they're right about those things that like they're literally willing to go to jail over some of it. I'm gonna own your house. I'm gonna sue you. Roar.
Every person that we've ever seen on a body cam video who does one of these 9 stupid things has gone to jail.
Yeah, every single one of them. Every single one of them. And please stop with the sovereign citizen stuff. It doesn't work. You're cherry picking pieces out of laws.
Just pay your damn registration, you cheap bastard.
Pay the registration, insurance, get a
on.
license. It's not that expensive, and be finished.
But they all have their license suspended because they're criminals. So
yeah, I would agree 100% with that comment. So that's all I got on this subject today. I think it's interesting how crazy people are. And it's very consistent that they're crazy across the board, and there's even a type. That's all I'm going to say.
Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye.